Howdy, welcome back to Transformers the Game Alternative Mod. Alright, this short little episode is going to cover some additional content in the mod that I may not have been able to directly address while playing. So, to start out, there's a little bit of new bonus content I could show you. First of all, some unused bios and whatnot in the bonus gallery. Run through this real quick. First, we got Bonecrusher. Now, one thing that amazes me is that this is like one of the clearest renders of Bonecrusher of this image that I have ever seen. Usually, when there's this image, it's just like a few pieces. This is almost a full render of him, which is pretty cool. Didn't know this existed, but you know, it's cool nonetheless. I guess I'll read through it here. Bonecrusher hates everything, and what Bonecrusher hates, he destroys. He hates this planet and all its inhabitants. He hates the Autobots for getting in his way. He even hates Megatron and the other Decepticons. The only reason he stays with them is because Megatron scares him. Bonecrusher lives for the day when he's the only one left standing atop a pile of smoking rubble and shattered robots. So yeah, fact of life, Bonecrusher hates everything. Even you, even me, everybody. Yeah. It's also Brawl, who's got another fairly full render. These are pretty rare. I'm surprised they had these full final CGI renders for Brawl and Bonecrusher, but they don't have them for all the other characters, which I find strange, but anyway. Brawl is built for one thing and one thing alone: destruction. His programming has been gripped for as long as he can remember, by a rage so deep and so hot that he feels little else. The only thing that allows him a few moments of happiness is the fury of combat. There is nothing so sweet to him as the thunderous noise of his shells bursting against the armor of a faltering Autobot. So cool to see this render as well. I've only seen like bits and pieces of that again. There's also Frenzy. I'm pretty sure there's the same bios that are on the deluxe figures or figure packaging, I imagine. Frenzy. Decepticon spine all-around sneaky robot. Decepticon Frenzy is a fast-talking data hound and a secret smuggler of goods and information for Megatron. Smaller than the other Decepticons and not as tough or strong, he focuses more on hiding and striking at the Autobots where they least expect it. You know, nothing really new here. That's a render that's been all around. And there's also Ratchet. These are all characters that weren't included, that you couldn't unlock originally. These are all restored by the alternative mod. Yeah, I know this is the same bio from what is it? The figure packaging. I'm not gonna read this, you know, just showcasing it. I'll go for the other bios real quick. Just, you can pause if you want to read them yourself. Your bio's long. Okay, and someone did ask for something else, some clips of the model shots, so I will showcase those as well. Pretty sure these were all available originally, but I will showcase them just the same. Gotta go through every. Oh, okay. There's Starscream. There's Jazz. Did they get his UV job right here? I can't tell. I doubt it. I don't know how they let that slip by. The UV job for the final Jazz is just an absolute mess. Take it from someone who spent some time fixing it. There's Optimus. There's Blackout. Bumblebee, classic Bumblebee to be precise. Megatron. Is that it? Oh, the Scorponok. Yep, that's it. Okay, there's some other content that I could run through here, which I'll just read through them here, and I'll show you clips of them. You know, just so you can see what character content was restored or fixed up. With some clips right now, starting with Blackout. You can now pick him up when fighting him. You know, we saw that in the battle with, I think, Ironhide. So we've seen that before. Most of them, and if they're not mentioned here, then they pretty much got a minor physics upgrade. That's what most of them have. Bonecrusher uses his block attack when you're fighting him. Not that you couldn't really fight him before. Brawl can now fall. I remember that in the versus Ironhide and Jazz thing. Remember that. And he can also now roll. I thought he could roll originally, but okay. Bumblebee has additional sounds in his attacks. You remember the axe and the... Whenever we first played as him, yeah. I remember those. Drone Armored Car can now block attacks, or his block attack now damages, and he can pick up poles. So. Actually, that sounds familiar, not being able to use poles. Don't think I've seen his stance of that. Same thing with the cement mixer. He can now pick up poles and roll. Drone Default has a kick to punch. I'm not sure exactly what that is. Can also roll, apparently. Forklift can now pick up poles. And roll. And get this, he could actually climb. Now that was surprising. No, I think he's the only drone that can climb. The MIG flyer drone, Dreadwing in other words, can now transform when picked up and roll. Not exactly sure what that means, but okay. Pickup truck can do a jump slam. I remember that one because he shares the same, I think, model or rough animation, whatever, as Long Arm, who can do that. So that makes sense. So that was an easy fix. Jazz can now use his block attack when you're fighting him. Megatron uses his ball and chain. Yeah, we remember that. Scorponok can now run, roll. Not exactly sure how that works. Starscream can now climb. I remember showcasing that in the first City episode. And Shockwave has one of his attack combos that shoots his secondary weapon, which is, I guess, Starscream's secondary fire instead of Ironhide's. He can also kick to punch. I'm not exactly sure what that means, but yeah. Well, there's one other character I can showcase real quick, now that we've covered all those guys, and that's G1 Megatron, who had a pretty decent upgrade from what I've heard. So I will showcase him in the City. So G1 Megatron here has had a few significant updates. His shield is now red because, I guess for whatever reason, G1 Megatron was kind of based off of G1 Optimus, or Optimus's animation model in general. So you can kind of look at his stance and just like, that looks like Optimus' stance. And it is. But he's got the red shield, as I just showed you. His sounds now resemble G1 Megatron. Got Megatron's weapons, as opposed to G1 Optimus's. Let's see. Got Megatron's transformation sounds. And I think his attack responses are the same. He gets knocked out by thrown objects, powerful attacks, stuff like that. Something that Optimus was immune to.
Oh,
look, Megatron.
Massive waves of energon. Get to the beacon and the source of these waves.
Forgot I need to take the speech line stuff out now. But yeah, that's actually pretty much it for June Megatron. It's a decent update, you know. It just makes me irritated at how much TT Games just missed, you know. I mean, I get they were rushed, but it shows. It really does. I don't know if I've seen a game with as much wrong with it as this one. Not to say it's a bad game, but it certainly has its many flaws. Well, I think that's all I have to show for this episode. I have a bit more content from the alternative mod I'm going to be showing out. Some of it's stuff that I've kind of already shown. I don't know what I'm saying here, but I'm going to do a few more videos on some of the unused alternative mod content. And I will...
The owl slug is emitting massive waves of energon. Get to the beacon and the source of these waves.
I'll see you in the next episode. Later.